Hello everyone, welcome to our new class on certificate course of psychosocial well-being. My name is Mariam and we'll be learning about self-compassion today. So this topic comes under module 4, that is self-care and self-compassion. So before we begin, I'll quickly uh, tell you what are the topics that we'll be dealing with today. So first we have introduction to self-compassion. Under that topic, we'll learn about the definition of self-compassion and why is self-compassion so important to cultivate in our life. And second, we'll learn about different components of self-compassion. And third, we'll learn about negative and positive self-talk. Here, we'll mainly speak about the difference between negative and positive self-talk and how does it affect our overall well-being. And fourth, we'll learn about self-kindness practice. And fifth, about mindfulness. So before we begin regarding the definition of self-compassion, I want you to answer these 4 questions. I want you to reflect on these 4 questions. So what you have to do is, if you have a pen and a book with you, I want you to answer these questions or pause this video and try to answer these questions. So first question is, can you recall a recent moment when you were harsh on yourself? And how did you feel in that moment? Second one, how do you typically treat yourself when facing challenges? Challenges of any sort. It can be academic challenges or interpersonal issues, any challenges of that sort. Third one, what would it look like to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you offer to others? And fourth one, how your life might be different if you cultivated a greater sense of self-compassion. So if you're done answering the question, you can resume the video. Yes. So now we'll quickly define what self-compassion is. So self-compassion basically means about being kind to yourself. It means being understanding and supportive even when things don't go well or the way you plan. And again, if you look at it, it is related to mindfulness because we can be more kind to ourselves when we are aware of our thoughts and feelings. So it basically means self-compassion is the practice of extending kindness and understanding towards oneself in moments of difficulty, failure, or suffering. It involves treating oneself with the same warmth, care, and support that one would offer to a close friend in times of need. For example, if you have a close friend or a close family member, and if they're going through something, you would provide them with a huge amount of kindness or compassion and make them feel better, right? So same way, in self-compassion, you would give that warmth, care, kindness, or compassion to your own self when you are going through any of the challenges, or even when you are not really going through any of the challenges as such. So it is very unconditional as such. So the concept of self-compassion was extensively studied and defined by Dr. Christine Neff, a leading researcher in the field of self-compassion. And again, it is also crucial for nurturing mental well-being and emotional resilience. And again, if you look at it, research has also shown that individuals who cultivate self-compassion experience lower levels of anxiety, depression, and stress. And again, you might also have this confusion whether self-esteem and self-compassion are one and the same. No, it is not. Unlike self-esteem, which can fluctuate based on achievements or external validation, self-compassion is more stable and unconditional, providing a reliable source of self-worth and inner strength, regardless of whatever condition that you're going through, regardless of, how many failures you have undergone, or regardless of whatever it is. So it is very unconditional, wherein self-esteem, it fluctuates based on, the success or the achievement that you have, or maybe it also depends on external validation from people that really matter to us in terms of self-esteem. But then in terms of self-compassion, regardless of what people think about us, we will be, kind to our own self. So why do you think self-compassion is very much important? Because we usually talk about need for being compassionate to our own self. For example, when a person is going through something, and then we tell them, be compassionate to your own self, or accept you for whoever you are, right? So why do you think self-compassion is so important? The first one, it helps us deal with challenges and disappointments. So again, it provides a supportive inner voice during challenging times, offering comfort and understanding rather than self-criticism. And by acknowledging our struggles with kindness, we can navigate difficulties more effectively and bounce back from setbacks with greater ease. So when you're scoring very low score, or scoring a very low grade, instead of telling yourself that you're not good for anything, when you're really compassionate to your own self, you would actually pat yourself and tell yourself that, okay, if not this time, I will get good grades next time. So that's what self-compassion is. And again, it helps us deal with challenges and disappointments. Next, next important, or the need to have self-compassion is it improves self-esteem and self-worth. And again, as we already discussed, unlike self-esteem, which may be, contingent on external achievements, self-compassion nurtures an unconditional sense of self-worth. And by treating ourselves with kindness and acceptance, we cultivate a deeper appreciation for our inherent value, independent of external validation. Third one, it encourages self, it encourages confidence and resiliency. So it actually boosts our confidence by fostering a sense of inner security and self assurance. And here we are not depending on other people to give us that, security and assurance. We depend on our own self. And again, when faced with challenges, individuals with self compassion are more likely to approach difficulties with resilience, viewing failures as opportunities for growth rather than reflections of their worthiness. So, as you all know, resilience means bouncing back to the normal state of your being. For example, if you're meeting some challenges, if you're very compassionate to your own self, you will bounce back to the normal state very quickly. And then again, as I already said, it is not a reflection of your worthiness. You'll not ask yourself whenever you face some challenges, am I actually worthy of all this? When you are really compassionate to your own self, you will not question your worthiness. And fourth one is it will also allow us to accept our mistakes. So again, as we already know, self-compassion involves recognizing our common humanity, acknowledging that everyone makes mistakes and experiences setbacks, and by embracing our imperfections with kindness and understanding, we can learn from our mistakes without harsh self-judgment, leading to greater personal growth and development. And the fifth one is self-compassion will also inspire gratitude towards our own self. So, if I ask you, how often uh, are you grateful for being alive? So many of you must say that I don't really want to be grateful for being alive because there are so many, issues or challenges that you're going through, right? But then if you're really compassionate to your own self, you will also be grateful for being alive, or grateful for all the good things, or bad things that you have in your life. Bad things because you learn something from mistakes or bad things, right? Yes. And again, practicing self-compassion encourages appreciation for ourselves as deserving of care and kindness. And by cultivating gratitude for our own strengths, efforts, and qualities, we deepen our sense of self-compassion and nourish a positive self-image. So these are the 5 needs for cultivating self-compassion in your life. Now we'll see what are different components of self-compassion. So, as I already said, self-compassion was defined very clearly by Dr. Kristin Neff. So, Kristin Neff has given 3 key components of self-compassion. And understanding these components is very crucial for cultivating a compassionate relationship with oneself. So the first one is self-kindness versus self-judgment. So here we'll first define what self-kindness is. So self-kindness involves being understanding and supportive towards oneself, especially in times of difficulty or failure. It's about treating oneself with warmth and care, similar to how one would treat a good friend. And the other extreme of the first component is self-judgment. It refers to the tendency to criticize oneself harshly, often magnifying perceived flaws or mistakes. And this component involves recognizing and challenging the inner critic, fostering self-compassion instead of self-criticism. Yeah, so that's the first component. And the second one, the one extreme is common humanity versus isolation. So when it comes to common humanity, it recognizes that suffering and imperfection are universal human experiences. And it's about understanding that everyone goes through challenges and struggles, fostering a sense of connection and empathy with others as well. In terms of isolation, it involves feeling alone or isolated in one's suffering, believing that one's struggles are unique or shameful. This component emphasizes the importance of recognizing our shared humanity and interconnectedness. So here, if we look at it, sometimes when we go through something, we usually ask, why me, right? So here, it will come under the isolation extreme of that component, the second component. So it's also very important for us to understand that every person that you meet, they go through their own issues in one or the other way. Maybe they might not be similar to you, but then everyone goes through their own struggles, right? So when we will understand that, we'll have that, a sense of belongingness when we interact with others. And the third component is mindfulness versus over identification. So when it comes to mindfulness, it involves maintaining a present moment awareness of one's thoughts, emotions, and experiences without judgment. And it's about observing thoughts and feelings with curiosity and openness, allowing for greater self-understanding and acceptance. And when it comes to over-identification, it refers to becoming overly absorbed or identified with one's thoughts and emotions, leading to a sense of being overwhelmed by them. This component again encourages cultivating a balanced perspective and creating space between oneself and one's experiences. So, to understand these 3 components, that is self-kindness versus self-judgment, common humanity versus isolation, and mindfulness versus over-identification, understanding these will help individuals develop a more compassionate and balanced relationship with themselves, fostering greater resilience, well-being, and emotional stability. So that's about components of self-compassion. Now we'll see or now we'll understand what is negative self-talk, and after that we'll learn what is positive self-talk and why is it important for us to have positive self-talk. Yeah. So when it comes to negative self-talk, for example, we are very much, unkind to our own selves when we make a mistake, or we also feel ashamed and embarrassed about something that we do. For example, uh, you accidentally fell when you walk in front of a lot of people, and then you feel embarrassed about your own self. You would, tell yourself that I'm not really good enough, or I'm not really confident, and why does it actually happen to me always? All these questions you would say, and you might also think or say things such as, I'm terrible at this, or I'll never get this right. Or, for example, if you're having a presentation in class and then you're really anxious about it, and then when you go in front of the class and start presenting, and then if you're not able to present it well, this, there is a reason why you're not able to present it well, because you always have this, self-talk, or, the negative automatic thought that says, I'm not good at it, or I wouldn't be able to present it well, and then I'll never get this right, or people might judge me because I'm not good enough, or my communication or language skills are not good. So these are some of the negative talks that you will have, and for that reason you will feel anxious when you go in front of uh, audience to present something. And then if I ask you, can you think of a time when you said negative things to yourself? I'm not just talking about when you have to present in front of people. I'm also talking about, in terms of interpersonal relationships also. If you're having some clash with your friend, and then instead of having a proper conversation with the friend about, what went wrong, you would uh, negatively talk to your own self, maybe saying that I'm not really good at keeping friendships, or I'm not really good maintaining relationships, or friendships. You might start telling that to yourself, right? So same way, if you have any, or can you please think of a time when you actually said negative things to yourself? And then we'll look at it, students. It starts from your childhood itself. When you grow up, you develop this, and over a course of time, it keeps increasing. The self-talk, it becomes more negative when you grow up. If you don't, unlearn certain things. So if we look at negative self-talk, there are different types of negative self-talk. So first one is self-criticism. So in self-criticism, you constantly belittle yourself for maybe perceived flaws or mistakes, or shortcomings. For example, in self-criticism, the statement that you would tell yourself would be, "I'm such a failure. I always mess things up." So this is a way that you criticize yourself. And then the second type is catastrophizing. So here you magnify your problem or potential outcomes, and it will lead to feelings of hopelessness. For example, here the statement would be, under catastrophizing, the statement would be, if I don't ace this presentation, or if I don't present it well, my career is over. So just because of one incident, you would start thinking, or start telling yourself that, okay, I did this. This means that my career is over, or my life is over. I'm so done. Yeah, you would magnify the problem, or challenges. And the third type is all or nothing thinking. So here you view situations in black and white terms with no room for shades of gray or flexibility. So the example here would be, if I'm not perfect, I'm a total failure. So there is no in between. There is either if I present it well, then I'm good enough, If I don't present it well, I'm not good enough at all. So here it is black and white as such. And then the fourth type is personalization. So here you take responsibility for events or outcomes beyond one's control, and it will lead to undue guilt or self-blame. For example, you might tell yourself, it's my fault, my friend is upset. I should have known better. So whatever happens, for whatever, external factors that, lead to a problem or mistake or a challenge, you would start blaming yourself. So here you personalize whatever happens to you a lot. So that's about negative self-talk. And then if you look at it also, students, one or the other time, we would be talking to ourselves very negatively. But then when it's too much, then it's a problem. So we'll just quickly see how do we cultivate positive self-talk. So again, we can turn the negative self-talk into positive thoughts by considering how we would speak to a friend who is experiencing the same problem. So if you look at any of the issue or challenges that you're going through, and then if you notice that you're talking to yourself very negatively, look at it objectively. Ask yourself, if my friend was in this situation, how would I deal with the situation? Or how would I talk to my friend to console him or her? So as I said, if a friend was having a hard time and came up to you, what encouraging words would you say to them? So here you would get the answers for positive self-talk. And again, positive self-talk involves cultivating an inner dialogue characterized by self-encouragement, optimism, and self-compassion. It serves as a powerful tool for enhancing self-esteem, resilience, and overall well-being. And some of the examples of positive self-talk would be everyone makes mistakes and I can try again, or I did my best. For example, if you don't ace your presentation very well, but then you tell yourself that, okay, I actually did my best and you actually give it a try. And the other example could be learning something new can be hard, but I can keep practicing. These are some of the examples of positive self-talk. And if we look at the benefits of positive self-talk, one is it will enhance your self-esteem. So you will be able to foster a sense of self-worth and confidence. And again, it will reinforce your beliefs in your abilities and strengths. And the second benefit is stress reduction, wherein encouraging and supportive self-talk helps elevate stress by promoting feelings of calmness and self-assurance. For example, once you give it a try, whenever you notice that you are talking to yourself very negatively, start talking to yourself, positively, and then notice the way you are. Maybe you'll exactly, feel a sense of, calmness as such. And the third benefit is improved resilience. So here it will enhance your resilience in the face of challenges. It will also foster a mindset focused on growth and solution-oriented thinking. So you will also, start thinking thinking very, optimistically. You'll always look for solutions rather than, overthinking, rather than thinking in a very problem focused manner. And the fourth benefit is optimism and motivation. So positive self-talk cultivates optimism and motivation, and it will also develop perseverance and determination to overcome obstacles. So that's about positive self-talk. Now we'll learn about self-kindness practice. So it's very important for us to be compassionate to our own self, right? But it's not easy. It takes a lot of courage to be compassionate to your own self. It takes a lot of work to be fully compassionate to your own self. For that, it's very much important for us to practice self-kindness. So here, the first one would be um, self-compassion phrases. So here, these phrases are very short. It's more like positive self-talk. Um, so positive self-talk, whenever we go to some obstacles, we say it, right? But in terms of self-compassion phrases, you say it regardless of whatever situation that you are in. So these phrases are very short, comforting phrases that individuals can repeat to themselves during challenging times. For example, may I be kind to myself in this moment, or it's okay to struggle. I'm here for myself, or may I give myself the compassion that I deserve. So that's about self-compassion phrases. You can practice this technique right when you wake up in the morning. Make a habit of saying these self-compassion phrases to your own self, or even when you go to bed in the night to sleep, even then at least try saying 3 self-compassion phrases. And the second one is writing self-compassionate letters. Sometimes if you don't really feel like talking to your own self, you can actually practice writing. Even writing really helps you to vent your emotions out, or bring that positivity in yourself. And again, this exercise is involving writing a compassionate letter to your own self, addressing the struggles of pain one is experiencing with understanding, validation, and encouragement. And it's also a way to express empathy towards oneself and offer reassurance and support. So here you can, it's more like journaling. So you can take up a prompt, or you can start the letter by how these are the ways I can be more compassionate to my own self. And then you start writing. So initially it'll be really difficult for you to actually come up with words, or write a letter to your own self. But then once you practice, it comes very organically, or naturally as such. So you can start practicing writing, practicing self-compassionate letters. So the next one is practicing self-kindness daily. So here you encourage yourself to integrate self-kindness practices into your daily lives, encouraging. And again, excuse me. Yes. So when it comes to practicing self-kindness daily, here what you do is you encourage yourself to integrate self-kindness practices into your daily life, especially during times of stress or self-criticism. And here what you do is you remind yourself that self-compassion is not about self-indulgence or self-pity, but rather than nurturing oneself in a healthy and supportive manner. You might also think that if I'm being, compassionate to my own self, does it mean that I'm being very selfish? No, self-compassion is the bare minimum, and self-compassion is all about prioritizing your own self. Because if you don't prioritize yourself, who would, come and save you, or prioritize you, right? Yes. So, and again, through all these practices that I said, that is self-compassion phrases, or writing self-compassionate letters, or practicing self-kindness every day, these techniques, or, these practice, if you do it regularly, you can cultivate a more compassionate and nurturing relationship with your own self, which in turn enhances our overall well-being and resilience in the face of life's challenges. So that's about self-kindness practice. Now we have something called mindfulness. You must have heard about mindfulness a lot of times. Some of you might be knowing what mindfulness exactly is, and some of you might be practicing mindfulness activities as well. So mindfulness basically means it's a pathway to intentionally bringing your attention to the present moment with non-judgmental awareness. So if we look at our thoughts, Sometimes the thoughts are very chaotic, and then sometimes there are so many thoughts and you can't really control those. So when that happens, you try to be more conscious at the present moment without actually judging your own self or without actually judging whatever is happening outside. So here, it is basically about observing your own thoughts, emotions, or sensations, and the environment or the surroundings without actually attaching any labels of good or bad, right or wrong. And here it empowers, mindfulness actually empowers you to cultivate inner peace and clarity by grounding yourself in the here and now rather than getting entangled in past regrets or future worries. So, how do we practice mindfulness? So, we'll just explain about two of the techniques. There are many, but then we will just focus on these two. First one is mindful breathing, and the second one is body scan meditation. So, when it comes to mindful breathing, it offers you a simple yet potent practice. So, it involves focusing your attention on the sensations of your breath as it enters and leaves your body, and by anchoring your mind to the rhythmic flow of your breath, you can cultivate a sense of calm and presence in the moment. So, we can actually practice this now. So, what you have to do is notice the sensations of your breath in your nostrils when you inhale and you exhale when you breathe. When you take a breath, notice the sensations of your breath in your nostrils, chest, and abdomen without trying to control or manipulate your breath. And again, allow yourself to simply be with each inhale and exhale. We breathe every second because that's the reason why we are alive. But then that is unconscious breathing that just happens naturally. But when it comes to mindful breathing, you are trying to be more conscious of your breath or breathing. So that's the first technique, that is mindful breathing. Next we have body scan meditation. So body scan meditation, it guides you through systematically directing your attention to different parts of your body from head to toe and observing any sensations or tension present in each area. So it focuses from head to toe. So if we have to engage in body scan meditation, what you have to do is you have to gently bring your awareness to each part of your body and notice your physical sensations and cultivate compassion towards your body, which may be carrying the burdens of stress or tension. And then, for example, if you're sitting, sit in the same posture and then notice your body from head to toe, and you can easily, when you do that, you actually scan your body that way, you can easily notice that where is which body part is more tensed now. For example, if your forehead is frowned, that means that you have accumulated all your stress there. So when that happens, you slowly release that tension from your forehead. Or for example, if it's your knees or if it's your thighs, so you can actually easily release that tension from your body. And again, by integrating these two mindfulness practices, like mindful breathing and body scan meditation, into your daily routine, you can enhance your capacity for self compassion. And again, embrace non judgmental awareness and acceptance of your inner experiences, paving the way for greater emotional well being and resilience. So, every day, make sure that you practice any one of these mindful breathing and body scan meditation, and then it just requires less than 5 minutes. So if you want to be more compassionate to your own self, start practicing these. So we have learned about self-kindness practice and mindfulness activities. So if we have to conclude this, it's very important when it comes to self-compassion, it's very important for us to understand that being imperfect is something that we all share. Nobody is perfect, right? So everyone is, perfect in their own way. So it's important for us to understand that everyone is, imperfect also in their own way. So it's very important for us to embrace others and then embrace our own self too. And then we all have emotions that feel, good, and one that makes us, very uncomfortable. And again, we'll also have good days and, our own bad days. And then again, it will take time to learn how to be patient with our own self. And when it comes to today's class or session, it was all about practical ways to make self-compassion a natural part of your everyday experiences. And our emphasis was more on its importance as an ongoing practice rather than a one-time effort. So as I said, make sure that you practice this every day. And it's very important for us to encourage regular practice to make sure that we sit aside a dedicated time each day for self-kindness exercises like self-compassionate faces or mindfulness practices. And then again, consistent practice strengthens our ability to be compassionate to our own self and make it easier to access when we actually need it the most. So these all should be your immediate, emergency method, or immediate psychological first aid or an emotional first aid as such. And then make sure that you recognize your progress and setbacks, and please remember to acknowledge both your progress and setbacks without any judgment. And again, as we already said, self-compassion means treating yourself with kindness and understanding, even when things don't go as planned. So see this setback, see, see these setbacks as opportunities for growth rather than reasons for self-criticism. And again, also emphasize self-compassion is a lifelong journey. It's not that, okay, now I'm going through something, so now I'll practice self-compassion. And after some days, you just don't practice self-compassion. No, it's not like that. It's a lifelong journey. So please understand that self-compassion is a journey that lasts a lifetime, and approach yourself with patience and compassion, recognizing that it's not about being perfect, but about embracing your humanity with kindness and understanding. And again, by integrating self-compassion in your daily routine through regular practice, acknowledging both successes and challenges, and viewing it as a lifelong journey, you can foster greater emotional well-being and cultivate a deeper sense of self-acceptance and compassion. So that was all about this session. Thank you, and I will be back with another session in short time. Thank you. Have a great day.